We're going to test my new Etenwolf Vortex S6 tire inflator versus the venerable Pittsburgh Harbor Freight unit. Boy, if there is a tentacle length category, the Harbor Freight's definitely going to win. What's up, everybody? I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Catfish Motorsports. Today, we got a little product review for you. Now, full disclosure, I didn't buy this. The company reached out to me via email and said, hey, we like some of your other videos. Would you be willing to look at this tool for us? Me, being a tool junkie who also likes free stuff, said absolutely. So I didn't pay for this, but I'm also not getting paid for this, if you know what I mean. So if it's bad, I'm going to tell you about it. As you can see, I've already unboxed it. The reason I did that is because I actually needed it. So I pulled this out. Luckily, it came fully charged, which is nice. And it was able to get me out of a jam. So it's already got some bonus points working for it. All right, it is June. It is super hot. So we're going to keep this brief. Here's what we're going to do today. This is the Pittsburgh Harbor Freight 12-volt tire inflator that I usually keep in the back of my Firebird to go to the drag strip with to air down and then pump back up when I drive home. So that's how we're going to test this. I've aired both the tires down on my Firebird down to 15 PSI, which is about where I run. I run at about 17. We're going to pump up one tire with my old 12-volt inflator up to 30 PSI. We're going to pump the other tire from 15 up to 30 with the new Etenwolf Vortex and see who wins in a race. So before we commence with racing, I'm going to test one function real quick. So how this works, because this messed with me because I don't read instructions. These are actually buttons here on the outside. So to turn it on, you're just going to press that start button. That activates your little screen here. So we see this says 160 PSI, but you can actually set it in theory. I've never tried this, but we're going to set it to 30 and it should auto stop. So we're going to try that on this tire here really quickly in front of me because this tire is always a little low. So I'm betting this is probably going to be like 25 PSI. We're going to pump it up to this 30 number and see if it stops like it's supposed to. And as I suspected, that says 25.3. I don't know if you can see that. We've got it set to 30. We're going to see if it pumps it up and stops. You can audibly hear it slow down once it got to 29.8. It got to within 0.2, stabilized, and just kind of stayed there. It's a little bit weird, but I wouldn't argue with it over a 0.2. So no extra points there, but it did function more or less how it was supposed to. All right, so we're going to do our baseline real quick with the Harbor Freight pump. Now, this is a 12-volt pump, so you don't have to worry about it losing its battery charge, because what you do is you hook it up to your car battery. I can tell you right away, the Etenwolf's going to win for convenience, because this thing's kind of a pain. It's got a bunch of cords. It works, so no complaints there. But most of the time, I don't even bag this thing up. I only did that for the video. This usually just lives in my trunk, just however I throw it in there. So it's got long cables so you can hook it up to your car battery and then get all the way around your vehicle, which is nice for functionality, but not so nice for convenience. Now, neither of these are likely to be super fast, as we saw with the little brief test with the Etenwolf in there, but they get the job done. Let's get my iPhone stopwatch pulled up here. So we do have a little pressure gauge here. There's not a lot of delineations on this, so again, the Etenwolf definitely wins for convenience. So we're going to go to 30, which is going to be the first notch past the 25. All right, here we go. We'll try to hit the switch and the button at the same time. Now, one of the other problems with this is a little quieter. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera. This already shows over 30, but that's clearly not the case. When I hit the button off, this number is going to drop. So you're going to have to do that constantly to make sure you're actually at the pressure you want it to be. Yeah, so that dropped all the way back down to about 19. So we're just gonna have to play with that for a while until we get it there. All right, well, we got her there. We're at 1 minute 33 seconds on the timer. It's probably more like a minute 32 if it's close, because it took me a second to get to the button. Not super convenient, but it does do the job. I've used it plenty of times at the drag strip. Let's go to the other tire with the Etenwolf and see how it does. My knees aren't good enough to get down in this stance. So we saw that it slowed down a little bit once it approached its target number. So just for a fair race, I'm going to set this a little bit higher. I'm going to set it to like 40. That way I'll just stop it manually once it gets to 30. I don't know if you can see that, but it does say 15.0 on here. So we're going to run it to 30.0 or as close as we can get it. Got our phone timer out again. Here we go. All right, so quick discovery. Remember how I had to kind of hit the button on and off on the other side? Well, on this side, I set my target pressure at 40 and then just hit the button. And once it got to 30.0, I stopped it at 1 minute, 41 seconds. So the other pump is clearly a little bit faster. But interestingly, when I stopped it, it stopped at 27.4. So that's probably why we had that stabilization mode when we tested in there a little bit. When you set it at 30 and then heard the pump slow down a little bit and it continued running for like another 20 seconds. And then when it stopped, it was at 29.8. So it was very close to our target number of 30. That's probably why it does that. So I've still got our pump here. I do still want to get it to 30. So I'm going to hit the button again and get it up to where it's supposed to be. I'm just going to go ahead and set the target to 30 and see how long it takes to get there. And then we'll see our final score on the timer. All right, so we reset this target mode to 30. I'm going to hit our stopwatch button again. So now we're at 29.8. Final score, 2 minutes, 4 seconds. It is hot. All right, so final scores on our actual race. Harbor Freight was faster. The 12-volt Harbor Freight pump pumped at 1 minute and 32 seconds, 1 minute, 33 seconds. And the Etenwolf came in at a touch over 2 to do the same thing. I did have to stop both, but that's only because I wasn't using the Etenwolf right. If I would have been using it right from the start, we wouldn't have had to stop it. We could have set it and walked away from it. Now, final note on the race test. I did go out and check both of the tires with my tire pressure gauge. The Etenwolf on its digital readout was reading 29.8, kind of bouncing back with 29.8, 29.7, something like that. On my gauge here, it read 29.5, really close, and I might have lost a little PSI when I was disconnecting the line from the tire. The Harbor Freight, on the other hand, when I put it on, it read 28.7, and I honestly thought I overpumped it. I was kind of expecting it to be more like 31 PSI, and it was well under. Now, I mentioned the analog gauge on this was a little more difficult to read, but I'm positive that it was over the 30 mark. So the digital readout on the Etenwolf is definitely more accurate than this analog gauge on the Harbor Freight. Convenience factor, not even close, not even close at all. Not only do you not have to wind a bunch of cords up, you just kind of sit this down, plug it in, but because you can set your target pressure, and we found out that you should set your target pressure, you can just set it and walk away, go sit in the shade, get in your running vehicle with the AC on, whatever you want to do. This guy, because the gauge doesn't read accurately until the pressure's turned off, you have to sit there and babysit it. So not only is it much harder to store in its bag and take out and set it up and drag around your car, but you also have to babysit the actual pump itself. So it's slightly faster, way more convenient, don't have to babysit it, and the gauge is more accurate. You could argue this won the race, but the Etenwolf wins literally everywhere else. All right, now that our competition's over, let's talk about just kind of build quality, things like that. It's nice. It's sturdy, feels heavy duty. If I have a complaint, it's got this high volume hose. It just sort of doesn't like to stay in. That's my only complaint. And from a kind of stress test perspective, I mentioned that I had to take this out of the box because I needed it. What I didn't mention is that I forgot about it outside for like 10 days. And it was hot and it got rained on. Totally part of the test. Meant to do that. It's not because I don't take care of my things. But I grabbed it, brought it in, started this test, and it works just fine. So it survived the totally planned stress test. What's in the box? So we've got our compressor itself, air chuck, normal hose, high pressure hose, manual. Who reads those? Here's the reason I brought this up, because I got unusually excited about this. When I opened the box up, it had a big wall plug-in charging box and a 1.8 meter cable. That's about 6 feet for those of us that have been to the moon. Now that doesn't seem like something you should get excited about, but I just bought like a $1,200 brand new iPhone, and it came with a little short cable and no wall plug-in. Like, come on, Apple. If my tire charger can come with a plug-in, your $1,000 voice brick can. Manual. Extra features. I'm only reading this because of you guys. Modes. Oh, okay. So the mode button sets it to car mode, pickup truck mode, recreational vehicle mode. What that does is it sets your tire pressure max. So when you're in manual mode, like I am now, you can go all the way up to 160. But if you have it in car mode, it won't let you go over 50 PSI. So it's just sort of a dummy proof mode. So if you're putting it in a normal car, set it in car mode, you'll be fine. Oh, it's got a light. So you do have to turn it on before the light will work. Oh, let's hit the light. Hey, look at that. Light. Ah. It's got multi-modes of light. That's really bright. Oh, flashers. In case you're an emergency. Slower flasher. Not as bad of an emergency, I guess. Off. Okay, that's what I was looking for when I pressed it the second time. I wasn't expecting to get like 4 more modes of light. What else we got? Power bank. So hidden under here where your charging port is, you have a standard USB that says out and a USB-C that says in out. So plug it into your wall for in, but if you have a fully charged battery, this also can charge your phone and stuff like that, whatever else. If you get stuck without power, you can charge your phone with this. So it's flashlight and a charger in an emergency. That's pretty cool. And we also mentioned it's got this high volume hose. This is going to be mostly for you like water sports types, I guess. You got something you want to tow behind your boat or you got a kiddie pool or whatever. You pull this big high volume hose off, and it's got an inflation section and a deflation section. So you can rapid deflate it too with this. I don't have anything to test that with, so we're just going to have to take their word for it. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work though. Cost. This is about $99 on Amazon. The Pittsburgh unit is $75 without a coupon. Both of these might go on Prime Day sales and stuff like that. Obviously, Harbor Freight has sales all the time, so you might be able to get both of them a little bit cheaper, but the Harbor Freight unit is a touch cheaper. Speaking of Amazon, I mentioned the company sent this to me. I didn't want to seem like a mark, and I didn't really have much bad to say about it. So I went to Amazon to see if I could look through the reviews and see if there was any kind of common complaints about it that I could let you guys know about. But it turns out the thing's got like 1,300 views with a 4.7 average rating. It's pretty good. Like I said, I don't want to seem like a mark just raving about something that I didn't pay for, but it's legit. It's good. Obviously, we showed it's a little bit slower than the Harbor Freight unit, and it's a little bit more expensive than the Harbor Freight unit, but it has all the extra functionality. You don't have to plug it in. And I've never charged this battery. It showed up fully charged. I don't know how long it sat in its box on the shelf fully charged, but I've had it for about a month and it hasn't ticked down at all. So the battery life is at least solid. I can't fully test that in a short video. I believe I read on their website, it claims it will charge 4 big off-road tires. That could mean a lot of different things. It could be a monster truck tire. It could be just like a tire on my truck over here. I've got no idea, but I've charged a few things with it. It probably wasn't completely fully charged because again, it was sitting in a box for who knows how long. And it's still showing all 4 bars. Just as far as something, whether you're putting it in your race car like mine, or you just want it for an emergency roadside assistance type deal in a normal car, this is miles better. Short conclusion. It's good. I'm not telling anybody to go out and buy anything, but if you were looking for a unit to throw in your trunk for roadside assistance, whatever, you could do a lot worse than this thing. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.